Christina Perrone had sex less than 2 hours before she died. Consensual, based on the lack of tearing and abrasion.
So did one of the Jane Does. How long before I know if their partner was the same man?
She was strangled with her own braid, just like the other two.
You know, his choice of weapons may tell us more about him than the actual crime itself.
He has a fetish.
Like leather collars with spike heel shoes? This guy digs hair?
It could be that at an early age, he was enticed or aroused by it. His mothers, his sisters, and nannies.
Wonder if he knew that she was the daughter of a mob kingpin.
We're talking about a psychological urge that he probably can't control. I mean, even if he did know who she was, it wouldn't have mattered.
Oh, I have to check something in the lab. Excuse me.
Bureau's been trying to nail James Perrone for 10 years. He's made monkeys out of us and a mockery out of the system. Law degree from Yale, benefactor to the ballet, and he's raped the American people to the tune of $100 million. Because through Perrone imports, he takes a cut of every piece of merchandise that enters the ports of Boston, New York, and Baltimore.
So why haven't we been able to build a case?
That $100 million buys a lot of legal juice. He's got a web of dummy corporations, and if all that fails, witnesses against him have had an annoying tendency to disappear. Rapid onset cholesterol, that kind of thing.
We have nothing to say at this time. The Perrone family is in mourning. Can't you people respect that?
Mr. Perrone, I'm Special Agent Bailey Malone of the Violent Crimes Task Force. Sorry for your loss. We'll be assisting the local police in the investigation.
I'm Brendan Robb. My client is ready to make the identification.
She was registered at college as Christine Flood.
Well, the security concerns of prominent people should be obvious, even to a bureaucrat.
Mr. Perrone, do you know the man with whom Christina had a relationship? She did have a relationship. Possibly with the man that killed her. Same man that might have killed 2 other women. If you want to avoid the press...
Thank you, Miss...
Agent Rachel Burke.
Mr. Perrone, we need to examine your daughter's personal effects, her apartment.
Mr. Perrone is in no frame of mind to consider that request.
We can get a warrant.
Which we can subject to delay.
The identity of the other victims is unknown.
He just lost his daughter. He deserves the time to heal.
What about the killer? Does he deserve the time to find someone else's daughter? Mr. Perrone, you have my sympathy, but you're out of your depth. We are dealing with violence that has its basis in the kind of twisted human experience you can't even begin to understand.
My client...
Young lady, there's nothing you can tell me about the human experience that I don't understand.
It's not our job to provide him with sanctuary from the wolf pack. It's to find out who killed her and the others.
Thanks for the tip.
Here's another one. Perrone wears his grief just like his pinstripe suit. They're accessories. Don't be blinded by them.
I see him for exactly what he is.
And what he is a man whose empire, both criminal and legitimate, is under serious threat, according to the Organized Crime Division. But now he could be more vulnerable than ever. See, what OCD is thinking is that the girl's death might have been made to look like it was part of the serial, but its real purpose was, in fact, business.
So they're saying that she was killed by one of Perrone's rivals?
Francis Conway is the guy they're thinking. Did you download that photo I sent you?
He and Perrone are the major waterfront powers on the East Coast. Conway doesn't like coming in second.
And the first 2 murders got a lot of press, so copying them would not be too tough. What OCD thinks is that Conway's just been buying time, waiting to make an all-out move, and that the girl's death would cloud Perrone's thinking.
What do we know about Conway?
He's vicious and shrewd. He doesn't usually get into the muscle end of the business, but OCD thinks that he would enjoy taking out Perrone's daughter personally. Also, he was born and raised in the neighborhood where her body was found.
So he's smart enough to pull off a copycat killing?
Let me put it this way. Yeah. He's also smart enough to stay alive if he thinks Perrone suspects him. He owns a fleet of old cars, and he uses them to decoy his whereabouts.
To what do I owe this unexpected pleasure?
To the unexpected pleasure we were having an hour ago. And to the expected pleasure we'll be having an hour from now.
You know, if you play your cards right, that could be hard to get rid of.
In my line of work, the only thing you can count on is there's nothing you can count on. That's especially true when it comes to... Kate. Kate, relax. Just relax. Somebody call 911. Call 911! Kate. No. No. Kate?
Bud? Honey, what is it?
God, I thought...
DNA analysis proves that the sex partners of Christina Perone and Jane Doe number 2 were different men.
And neither one's listed in the VICAP database.
Is that rhetorical, or do you want me to answer?
I had them fax over a copy of Christina's college records. If her father won't cooperate, we have to start somewhere.
The phone rings this morning, and Morgan says since the marriage is over, why am I complicating things by continuing on with the pregnancy? I'm complicating things. Of course, not having this baby would make things easier for him, and it would make things easier for me.
You said you thought about it.
I've thought about it a lot, but it's not a complication. It's a baby. It's my baby, and I'm gonna keep it.
Let's for the moment assume OCD doesn't know what the hell it's talking about.
Let's.
We've got 3 murder sites, George. Connect the dots.
They form a grid roughly along Somerville on the west, Frank on the south, and Evans on the north.
Is this where he feels comfortable? Or is he revisiting the site of his abuse?
What's the socioeconomic breakdown of the area?
Young people, mostly. Students. Braddock University is right there, and Adams College is nearby.
Maybe it has nothing to do with comfort or abuse. Maybe it's just an area in which you can find girls who wear the retro hippie look and braids.
Yeah, maybe.
Bailey, this is Christine Flood as a freshman. This is Christine Flood as a junior. These are not the same woman.
Well, we know this is Christina Perone. But who the hell is this?
It's him. Let's go. The courier's waiting in the warehouse, Mr. Conway.
Second quarter earnings went to sleep as a result of our movement into textiles, and no one counted on the strength of the euro. What I'm saying is, Trevor, as our London affiliate, I expect a better return on...
You can't come in here, miss.
What's going on here, Bobby?
You'll have to leave. I'm sorry, Mr. Perone. Should I call security?
That won't be necessary, will it, Agent Burke?
Not at all.
It's all right, Bobby.
Really sorry, sir.
It's all right, thank you.
You made a serious mistake. Conway had nothing to do with Tina's death.
I never said he did.
Then why are there pieces of him all over 2nd and 3rd Street?
A leak in the fuel tank is what the paper said.
You're wrong about something else. There's plenty I can tell you about the human experience. But first, you have to realize there's a whole world out there that doesn't give a rat's ass about you or your business. I'll see myself out. My number's in there when you're ready to talk.
Perone was at his daughter's wake when Conway's car blew up.
Awake. Surrounded by people.
Of course, Perone had reason enough to move on Conway even before this thing with his daughter.
We don't see a connection.
Perone did. Unless killing his #1 rival is just his way of grieving the death of his child.
Perone's business has no bearing on the facts of this murder investigation. Facts that dispute a possible link.
Well, facts like what? All the victims wore braids? You're talking about a victimology that has been in the papers for months. Tina wore braids. Taking her out like this shakes Perone without starting a war.
Perone's behind that car bombing. We both know that. We can work that together.
I don't need you for that.
But you're talking about manufacturing a scenario. Throwing too much light on the only victim we've been able to identify. So you can jumpstart 10 years of dead ends sewing up the Perone family.
Talking about making a dent in a $1 billion a year shakedown operation any way we can. Look, I'm not a big fan of multi-agency interfacing either, Malone. But it seems to me we got a golden opportunity here. Whether Conway killed Perone's daughter or not. We get him any way we can, baby.
We operate under a different mandate.
Oh, really? Your profiler made an early morning visit to Perone's place of business about 6:30 this a.m.? Why her and not you?
She was following up on victimology.
I thought he shut that door.
She's trying to open it.
Anyone on the suspect list?
I've only been able to place one suspect released within the grid. It's a guy named David Glass. Arrested and did time for loitering outside a public school. He was paying girls $20 for a snip of their hair.
What age?
Elementary school.
No, too young. Where is he?
Well, he's a registered sex offender on a very short leash who checks in regularly with his parole officer.
No, the age of the victims is too specific. You know, you sound much better. Should I be worried?
No, not at all. I'm sleeping again.
Without help?
Yes, without help. It's, you know, it's not what you call easy. I'm hanging in there, Rachel.
Keep searching.
You went to Perone.
Because I wanted to show him this.
You don't go anywhere that I don't know about. Perone is not the kind of man who would hesitate to remove anyone he felt was a threat.
I'm not a threat.
You're a federal agent asking questions.
About his daughter. When he finds out that she paid someone to go to school for her, he's gonna be the one asking questions. And the most important one, who's the person who pretended to be his daughter?
I found our pretender, Linda Draper. 26 years old, mother of a little boy. Linda only met Tina Perone once, enough to cinch a deal.
She had no contact with Tina outside the arrangement?
Didn't need to. Every week a check was deposited into Linda's account. From Christina through a money market account at Sanwa Bank, who's not talking to me without a warrant.
Get one.
Tina paid all her expenses, plus $1,000 a week.
News of this might bring Perone around.
That's what I'm hoping. There's usually a major guilt factor associated with fetishes. It's likely that our killer has a wife, a kid, reliving the ideal family life just to right the urges brought on by his fetish.
The battle he's obviously lost.
Well, maybe his family scenario is he's not coming together, it's falling apart.
Trigger being.
A shattering experience. Maybe the death of the person who's at the root of his fetish.
Attacks have occurred both days and nights, weekends and weekdays, suggesting spotty employment at best. And his victims, young women, collegiate, athletic, with a retro or pseudo-hippie look to go along with their braids.
He sees potential victims, probably tracks them, but they don't see him. He's able to follow them freely.
White male, mid to late 30s, stressor related to family.
Stress he tries to soothe over by the use of the hair. Touching it, brushing it against his face, because its touch had the desired effect years ago.
I have something to show you. I wanted you to see my daughter's things. I wanted you to see the kind of girl she really... The clothes she was found in, that braid. She wasn't a peasant like those other girls. You know, there are people who want to destroy me, destroy everything that I built, and they won't stop until they do it. They're the ones behind all this. Tina used to come home 3 weekends a month like clockwork. Loved her mother's cooking. Last time I was here was for dinner a year ago. I know habits can be traced. Wouldn't be difficult for someone to learn who she was, where she lived.
Tina was not stalked by your enemies. That's just what you want to believe because it's easier for you to accept. But you're wrong. It's not about you.
Conway had a need to distract me away from business.
Stop thinking with your ego. Tina's death isn't that simple. The man that killed your daughter is a demented, tortured person who didn't know it was your daughter and didn't care. Like the other victims, your daughter was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You wanted to see how she lived.
Tina didn't live here.
I've been here. Last Thanksgiving, Tina made a dinner for her mother and me.
Tina's name is on the lease. But there's nothing perishable in the refrigerator, and the garbage disposal hasn't been used in months. The style of the decor, the clinical way that it's been arranged, nothing about this place fits with the picture of the woman to whom the killer would have been attracted. Your daughter wasn't who you think she was. I'm sorry.
Here's what I think, if you don't mind an amateur's opinion.
I hear them all the time.
Well, based on the significant loss of blood, craniocerebral trauma was inflicted ante-mortem, possibly by that broken beer bottle. That could have rendered her unconscious, which would have made ligature asphyxiation, indicated by cyanosis, relatively simple.
And you're handing out tickets?
I'm taking the MCAT in 3 months. I really want to be a pathologist.
Well, if you need my help, call me.
I will, Dr. Alvarez.
Grace.
4 murders, and he's left the bodies in 4 different places.
Well, we can't track the drop sightings because he can't. He's not planning anything. The shattering of his core relationship and maybe his role in it has him acting on pure emotions.
Which rules out Conway.
As if he was ever ruled in.
He was by OCD.
I rest my case.
Tom, let's bag this bottle. Chances are slim we'll find a print, but you never know.
I'll be there at 9:30.
Would you like to stop for some coffee? Your favorite blend of Arabica and Costa Rican.
I've switched to Kenyan. You can tell your source.
But there are many people who would have walked in my office the way you did the other day. Or said what you said at Tina's.
I'm from Buffalo. It's too cold to be subtle.
You remind me of her.
How?
I was raised in a world where bloodshed was so pervasive. It became unremarkable. In my father's day was an effective method of settling disputes, instilling discipline, protecting families. Those days are over. But even in those days, it was a last resort. A means to an end, not the end in itself. That's why this, whatever happened to Tina and the others, one more girl today whose identity is unknown and therefore had nothing to do with me. You're right, Agent Burke. I don't understand sickness like that.
Why am I here?
I need to know what only you can find out.
Who killed them?
And something more basic. I need you to tell me who my daughter was.
You'll have to help me with that.
Anything in my power. Because it's no secret that I've been the victim of an FBI vendetta.
I'm trying to catch a serial killer. That's all I'm trying to do.
And there's something that makes me feel I can trust you. So, we can consider ourselves partners.
No.
We want the same thing. To see who's ever responsible brought to justice.
Justice is defined by the law.
You have my word. As a father.
Really, I think the trigger for these killings was an event that severed the killer from his family, or whatever was the foundation in his life, but something that he took part in. A separation, a divorce. George needs to cross-reference recent divorce filings with the cases of fetishism that he's already identified.
First thing in the morning.
And I think that Tina lived in the area in which she was killed. That apartment her father showed me was a sham. It existed solely for his benefit. And the braided retro hippie was something that she wanted to be because it's something that he didn't want her to be. Would you pour me a cup?
It's late.
Kevin loves me.
2 hours later than when you got into Peron's limousine.
You're tailing me.
You bet your tail.
Rachel Burke, Joe Marks, Organized Crime Division.
This has nothing to do with OCD.
We live in a cross-functional world, Agent Burke.
You're about to tell me something I'm really gonna hate.
No, let me. Try as we might, OCD has never been able to plant a listening device close to Peron.
Try harder.
Because we've never gotten anybody close enough to plant it. Now we have.
I did not sign up for this.
You signed up to be a law enforcement officer.
I just gave him my word that the search for Tina's killer would not become a sideshow for investigations run by OCD, Rico.
And what did he give in exchange?
His word that when we do find the killer, the system, not Peron, will deliver justice.
For God's sake.
He'd break his word in a heartbeat. That's what people like him do. Get your emotions out of this, Agent Burke.
It's not his word that matters, Bailey. It's mine.
Here's a concept. You could order her to plant the bug.
I'll run my department my way.
2 agents have died trying to make this case. And every day Peron pisses on their memory. But you run your department your way.
Beautiful cake. Make a wish. Big wrap. You want a big piece? Little piece?
I'll take it.
Got it for you. Smell my fingers. Are you still shooting this? Come on.
Tina Peron moved here 18 months ago, apparently believing in the proposition that all men are created equal, at least in the dark.
The repudiation of a life her father wanted her to live. But she had her own dreams to follow. What?
You ever have dreams that made you wish you couldn't fall asleep? I keep having this dream. There's these people. They're dying right in my arms. And there's nothing I can do about it.
By people, you mean Kate? How does it end?
I don't know how it ends. I always wake up.
Have you told her about it?
I haven't told anyone.
Well, if I were taking a quiz in Cosmo, I'd say it's an anxiety dream about loss. You're afraid of losing her. Because you've got feelings for her you don't want to admit.
Glad I don't read Cosmo, because that's a crock. 3 acknowledgments of donations to charities for the homeless. And Tina's on unemployment.
Everyone wants to know who his daughter was. I had to tell him.
Why?
Because I said I would.
Oh, right. Your word is your bond.
Why don't you go perform an unnatural act?
They don't pay me enough.
We've stepped up uniform presence in the neighborhood with particular attention to the college campuses.
What about the divorce filings?
George is wading through them.
Be sure you give him my love.
They don't pay me enough.
This is when she was a brownie. 12 merit badges. We went river rafting. I'd never pitched a tent before in my life. She taught me. She'd been practicing for a week out in the backyard. First communion. She was named after my mother, you know. Her first school play. She was a cranberry who danced.
Mr. Peron.
High school valedictorian. Daughter of Mary at St. Bernardine's. That's the kind of a girl Tina was. Look for yourself. I was so proud of her. She was proud of me. She looked forward to the day when she'd give me grandchildren. How did you learn what she'd been doing? How he might have found her?
No, not yet. But you did file for unemployment.
She had an allowance of $5,000 a month. All the checks were cashed.
We're doing everything we can.
They had a memorial service at Tina's high school, St. Bernardine's. On my way in, it was pandemonium with the press. All of her friends wanted to grieve for her, but all they could hear were those animals shouting about me and Frankie Conway. Let me tell you something about Frankie Conway. He was a savage. There's nothing about that man that was civilized. You know, he approached me once. He tried to convince me that there was some business to be done between us, some insane scheme about hijacking some cargo ships from South Korea out to sea like pirates.
Keep talking, Jimmy. Come on.
20, 30 people on these ships. He thinks nothing of dumping them in the ocean. That's what Francis Conway is, an animal. No regard for human life. Putting distance between me and that man was a necessity.
Say it, baby. Say it.
If there had been business that we could have done, I wouldn't have done it. The man was a liability. I have too many people watching me, even in grief. You know, yesterday, I was trying to bury my child. Intruding eyes everywhere. Helicopters up above. Men watching my wife crying through a telephoto lens. Agents with their earpieces listening to the crying. To the grief of all those who had come to pay their respects. The OCD would stop at nothing to entrap me.
What the hell's happening? We've given 10 years to this investigation.
Oh, wait, so that justifies you planting a bug on me and not telling me?
Watch your tone of voice, Agent Burke. Just who the hell do you think you're talking
How
to?
could you even...
The idiot who could have gotten her killed.
We got a case to pursue here, Malone.
At the risk of a life.
Bailey, no, don't.
We had Perone. He was that close to admitting his connection to Conway.
And why didn't he?
Because she stopped him.
If she did, it was out of concern for her personal safety.
No, it wasn't. He wouldn't have hurt me.
I'm going to file obstruction charges against you. And then you can tell the inspectors and the widows of 2 agents why your word is more important than their lives.
Hey, if he does file, personal safety was the motive. I'll testify to it.
Yo, I won't. Your word is your word. To the inspection staff or to James Perron.
I believed that once. I grew up.
Hey, you played Nina, didn't you? Right about a month ago at the Colony Theater, you played Nina?
Yes, I
You
did.
were great.
I've got 3 people who satisfy your criteria. Impending divorce, recently unemployed, maxed out credit cards to transient housing. We got Edwin Herron, David Green, and Thomas Barber.
Green's not a priority. All the victims were white.
Okay, there goes Green.
What about their wives and families?
Nothing on the families, but I can pull up DMV photos on the wives.
What's that going to tell you?
We'll know when we see them.
Natalie Herron. I go with her.
Why? Short hair.
She could never have her hair in braids, but she could. If the murders are driven by his fetish, he'd never let her put her hair in braids. It'd be a constant reminder of memories that haunt him.
Stand by. George, get us a location on Edward Herron.
There are his trophies.
Steak dinner says they match his victims.
When are you going to bet on something that's not a sure thing?
When I can afford to. Bag these, get them to the lab. confrontation of affections. She wants the kid, the house, the usual.
Hello?
Set up a perimeter and make sure all personnel have a photograph of the suspect. We'll wait for him and make the grab when he comes back.
He's not coming back.
What do you mean? Perron got to him.
Hey! I want to make a statement about the killing of those girls. I did it. I did it! I want to make a full confession.
$10 million. That's what it'll cost the taxpayers to keep this little turd incarcerated for the rest of his natural life. It's a problem with this damn state. No death penalty.
They're holding him at Men's Central. He'll be arraigned in the morning.
You ever see a multiple killer so eager to confess?
He seemed to be more afraid of something on the outside than he was in going to jail. What inspires fear like that?
And who delivered him right into our hands? You leaked the information about Eddie to Perron. You figured if Perron took him out, you could make a murder charge stick. The retribution of a grief-stricken father.
Perron lived up to his promise. His word meant something to him.
A man of honor. Who would have thought?
That was your plan, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm just an old flatfoot. A plan like that's much too clever for me.
There's nothing in Eddie's statement about why. Why the braids? What was the source of his fetish?
Who gives a damn? Your man's nothing. Strictly small potatoes.
Our man is in jail.
Still filing obstruction charges against her. Well, just for the record.
Do it. And I'll file conspiracy charges against you for leaking the information to Perron.
You can't prove it.
Maybe not, but it'll keep you knee-deep in lawyers till your pension comes up. Malone.
Hey, you know, the more I think about it, the more I have to believe that the source of Eddie's fetish had to be a nanny or a housekeeper, not someone from the immediate family. I'm gonna go on over to the jail, see if
He's dead, Rachel. Internal bleeding. Managed to get a light bulb out of the ceiling. Swallowed the crushed glass.
What is this place?
How many guards did you have to pay to get to him?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Eddie Heron couldn't commit suicide. Not that way. Justice as defined by the law. Give me your word.
The man was obviously a coward who decided to cheat justice as defined by the law. Now, what the hell is this place?
This is where your daughter lived. For a year and a half.
That's not possible.
Your daughter had to be perfect. But perfection by your standards, which no one could live up to. And after the years of trying, winning the awards, being the daughter of Mary, she said to hell with it.
It's not possible.
She did learn one thing from you, Mr. Perron. She learned to live a lie. She rejected you and the hypocrisy that you stand for. She moved here, and because she did, Eddie found her. When I said that her death had nothing to do with you, I couldn't have been more wrong. You're the reason that your daughter is dead. Eddie Heron won't be living with his guilt.